Okay, I'd like to call the May meeting of the Board of Education to order. I'll run things until we get through the reorganization process. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a spotlight on education to begin our meeting. If you haven't been paying attention, you probably missed it, but we got a pretty sizable initiative going on, the Amery to Amery initiative. It's been ongoing for the better part of 2 months, so I'm going to turn it over to that group to tell us more about it. So Mr. Simonson and crew.
Hi, my name is Tanner D'Ambrosio.
And I am Amery Danielson.
We are both currently members of Mr. Simonson's 5th grade class. Recently, our sister city, Amery, Mississippi, was hit by a devastating EF4 tornado on March 24th. Our connection with Amery, Mississippi was started by Mr. Simonson's 2016 and 2017 5th grade class. They were interested in finding out if somewhere in the United States there was another Amery. Mr. Simonson's 5th grade class began to research Amery, Mississippi. They found out that we have many similarities, such as similar clocks in our downtowns, and we both started as railroad communities in the same year of 1887. Because Mr. Simonson's class discovered many similarities between the two communities, his class started to write letters to Amery. This eventually led each community to declare each other its sister city in 2017.
As we said earlier, our sister city, Amery, Mississippi, was hit by an EF4 tornado. We came together as a group on the following Monday, following the tornado, and brainstormed some ideas. When we talked to our principal, Mrs. D'Ambrosio, about the ideas we came up with, as a group, we ended up deciding to put jars into local businesses for customers to put extra cash and coins in, did a district-wide fundraiser, and did a cash collection contest between grades 3 through 5. We also went on Channel 18 News. Here's the news story.
Amery, Wisconsin has a sister city, Amery, Mississippi, that needs some help. In March, it was nearly destroyed by a tornado.
Now, a 5th grade class here in northwestern Wisconsin is raising funds to help their friends in Mississippi rebuild. Julia Lopez has that story.
1,000 miles away from Amery, Wisconsin is Amery, Mississippi. They've shared a special bond since they proclaimed each other sister cities in 2017. But on March 24th, disaster struck.
Our sister city, Amery, Mississippi, was hit by a EF4 tornado.
This is video of the damage left behind in parts of that state. In Amery, thousands of homes and a school district were destroyed.
It's our sister city. We just have to help them out.
That's why a 5th grade class in Amery, Wisconsin is stepping up.
We talk about it all the time. We need to take care of each other, look out for each other, and support each other. And they do that. And they've done that now toward Amery.
It was Simonson's 5th graders who reached out to Amery, Mississippi in 2017 to start the sisterhood. His current 5th grade class is now organizing fundraising efforts, hoping to help their sister rebuild.
We've been putting out jars in the community for people to put extra cash and coins in.
They're also selling buttons, t-shirts, and they inspired the Amery Community Club to get involved too.
Really, there's no limitations to what community can mean in terms of even helping others across the nation.
The Community Club started its own fundraising efforts, collaborating with local businesses and the local newspaper.
It's been a really neat deal for obviously not only my class, but our school and our district and our community.
Altogether, they've raised over $3,000, and the efforts are ongoing. Funds raised within the school district will go to the Amery School District, and funds raised by the Community Club will go to the city.
It felt really good to be a part of something we could help with.
In Amery, Wisconsin, I'm Julia Lopez.
Doing great things in Amery. Now, if you'd like to help the sister cities, we'll have links on WQOW.com.
I'm a 5th grade teacher here. And I talked to Julie Lopez, and she's going to send that news report article to Tupelo, Mississippi, because that's the nearest ABC affiliate to Amery, so they're going to send that down there. I would like to start out tonight by thanking our students for doing such a wonderful job in raising money for the citizens of Amery, Mississippi. They've helped raise over $1,200 so far, along with the city's amount of over $2,000. We'll be sending over $3,200 to Amery, Mississippi. I recently talked with Amery's former mayor and a friend of mine, Brad Blaylock, whose house was damaged and his business was destroyed. I talked to him about what our kids were doing, and he said, and I quote, he said, "I love it. Thank you all so much. Tell my favorite Amery grade that we love them." I would also like to thank our Amery and our district for your incredible support. I would like to thank April Zemer at the Amery Free Press for leading the community efforts. I would also like to thank Dr. Durfler and Ms. D'Ambrosio for leading our district's support. I appreciate that. When I was growing up on a farm near Hickston, Wisconsin, I used to watch Channel 13 News, I guess their competitor. But there was a sportscaster on there, and his name was Rick Foy. And I remember once, I was pretty young, but I remember he held up a Amery Letterman's jacket one day doing the newscast, doing the sportscast. And I remember thinking, to this day I remember thinking, I'm going to get up there sometime and see that community. Well, I did. I came and I saw, and I am truly blessed with where I work and with whom I've worked with all these years. Thank you again for all your support for our Amery to Amery project.
Good job, you guys.
Nice job.
True
Thank you.
citizenship.
Thank you.
Very nice.
This is the portion of the meeting where we reorganize the board. We always do that in the month of May following school board elections. So tonight's the night. I'm going to appoint Becky, if she'll be so kind to be our teller, so she can take notes for us. And the first order of business is to elect officers. So the first officer that needs to be elected is the board president. So are there any nominations for board president?
I'd like to nominate Keith Anderson as board president.
Are there any other nominations? And I need to do this 3 times. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? So we have a nomination on the floor, and it's been seconded for Keith Anderson as board president. So we have a vote in front of us. So all those in favor of Keith Anderson being Amery School District Board of Education president, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Keith Anderson is your board president, and I'll turn it over to you, Keith, to do the rest.
I thank you. I thanks for your support. So we'll roll on vice president. Do we have a nomination for vice president?
Nominate Shar.
Second that.
Okay, we have a nomination for Shar and for Dale. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. All those in favor of Shar Galena being vice president, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay. All right, now we'll go to our clerk. Is there a nomination for our clerk?
Nominate Dale Johnson. He does a good job.
Yeah.
He's pretty stellar at the old clerk
Yeah.
position.
Been there for
Yeah.
Been there a while.
Stuck here, yeah, no, that's good.
Is there a second? Any other nominations? You seconded that?
You waited need a second, I guess, when I,
No.
yeah, so go ahead.
Joe? Okay. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? I'll do it one more time, just to make sure. Any other nominations?
I'll move to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Dale.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, Dale. Treasurer. Nominations for treasurer.
I'll nominate Joe.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
And second, any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations?
I'll move to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Joe Vierkant for treasurer.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There we go. On to our next.
Joe's handling the money.
That's right. Okay, and we got our meeting dates set for our 2023. In
Yes,
front of
those,
you.
that maps us out from July through June of next year. It basically falls on the same Monday, just into the next calendar year. This is the script we've used for many years. If anyone has any concerns about a particular date, you can voice that now or prior to the meeting. You can always make changes if need be.
Yeah,
I'm going to be out of town on July 17th, but that's the only one I'm looking to miss.
Will we be able to have a quorum on that day? Others gone on the 17th? Because that would be what we need to watch for.
Yeah, I'm here.
I should be
should be
here.
here. Yeah,
And I
if it's
can
o-
be here if need be. I can make the trip back.
Well, people miss meetings, this happens. It isn't
Yeah.
necessary for you to come back. We
Right.
just need to make sure we have a quorum, and we appreciate you letting us know. And that's my position on it, at least.
But if any of us get real sick or come up with a
Yep, I can do that.
vacation, then we'll
I
just
just
let you
need
know.
about 6 hours' notice.
Okay.
Okay? Or you're gonna have to drive really fast.
Yeah.
we can always, make him do something, as long as he's not here.
Right.
Volunteer him for something.
Volunteer for something.
I'm all good
It's
for
usually
that.
the way it works.
Yeah, that usually works. So, do we have a motion to accept those board meeting dates?
I make a motion.
Steve, and a second?
I'll second it.
Joe, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? There we go. Then we will designate our depositories.
These are the official depositories we've used for the longest time. These are in essence the financial institutions we do business with. Obviously, two of them are right here in town. One does payroll, one does HSA, and we have a relationship with the rest. So this hasn't changed.
Do we
Make a
have
motion to
to accept those?
accept those.
Second.
Steve and Dale, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? There we go. Now we've got some appointment of the WASB and CIS-11 delegates.
I believe we covered last meeting, the delegate, we talked about that. So I think we should be covered there. I'm not sure there really is a motion that needs to be had because it's sort of already been done.
Right.
So just FYI that it's been covered, so to speak.
Yeah.
The author,
WASB?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe we did, right? Did we not?
We did
Well, we
CIS-11.
we did the CISA 11, I guess.
Yeah.
We
I
didn't
guess
do a-
I stand corrected because Erin was CISA 11, she also was WASBA, and I know that doesn't work for everyone based on their career choice, so to speak, and their availability, but we wouldn't, I don't think we have to have a WASB delegate yet, because that doesn't happen until January.
Correct.
Right.
But CISA 11's happening presently.
Yes, and did you volunteered to take
Yeah.
her last month?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And you
If
did
there
that.
is someone interested in being the WASB delegate, again, it's largely the convention in January. We can take that now, or we can settle that later.
Anybody got an inkling?
I
It's
have-
a 3-day affair. It's
do you
not a
know-
short.
Do you know roughly when in January?
Usually, yeah, it's in the 20s,
The third
near the
week,
end of the
maybe.
month.
Yeah.
I might be on a business trip during that time.
In Milwaukee?
No, I'm actually
Funny.
in Vegas.
We can always check closer
If we
to.
check, if we check the dates and I'm open, I'd be
Okay.
more than willing to do it.
All right, that's awesome. I'll look and see.
Yeah.
I'm sure the dates have been posted. They're already sending information.
Yeah, I saw that a little bit there.
And the CISA 11 delegate, so she did,
She was
There
on
was-
the board too.
she was on the board of control, but the delegate was just,
The delegate's already been declared to CISA, so that should be set.
Yeah.
okay. Good deal.
Okay. All right, then we'll go on to the authorization for use of independent hearing officers.
Typically, it's been Weld Riley. We've had good experiences there. Thankfully, we haven't had to use much of them for expulsion purposes. But I hear a lot of stories when you go through expulsions, if things are not followed statutorily, you got problems. It's in our best interest to have an independent hearing officer to run the meeting.
Yep.
When and if it happens. It doesn't happen very often, thankfully. So if it's Wald Riley, you would need to make a motion to do that.
I'll make a motion to authorize Weld Riley as our independent hearing officer.
Second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There we go. And we look at our board-appointed committees.
Yep, there hasn't been a lot of movement. Obviously, with Steve's arrival, there's some movement there. Steve sat last week as part of our technology committee, and there was another, I believe, school forest, and everyone else has remained where they were. Outdoor ed, I guess, is the technical title of it. Unless someone has a inclination to move, this is where we stood last month, and it's where we sit now.
Anybody got any preferences?
I'm good.
All right? We don't really need an action on that. That's just an FYI. This is where you sit.
Do we need somebody on the outdoor education committee
I
then?
believe Steve is going to be the person on there.
You're gonna do that
Yep.
too? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
All righty.
there we go. Next, we'll move to the consent agenda items, and I had those, so I will make a motion to accept those.
Second?
Gail, second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? There we go. Money is spent. And there was no one signed up for community comments, so we will go to our administrative reports.
I'll send it over to Josh. There's nothing going on at the high school in the month of May.
I did take a minute to breathe today. Luckily, when all the banging chaos around me, it can cloud my mind for a while. It's been crazy, but tons of things going on. We always have people that are being recognized for different events, and sometimes we forget a few, but we'll do our best here to get notoriety for as many as possible. So we're sending off Cruz Uhas and Greta Milan to the Badger Boys and Girls Delegates. That's sponsored by the American Legion Post 169. We send a boy and a girl every single summer to that leadership opportunity. Women in Leadership Seminar Delegate Luciana Azapira, sponsored by the Amery Women's Club. We took a bunch of our 10th graders, mixed grade levels of people interested in the healthcare field up to the Northwood Tech facility at Shell Lake, the same place that we took our teaching staff to in the fall. Kids had a great hands-on experience seeing all the opportunities in the medical field. So if you haven't been up there to see it, it's a really awesome facility. We teamed up with the 8th graders and our sophomores and did the Polk County Career Skills Day up at the Polk County Fairgrounds. Awesome opportunity for kids to get valuable hands-on learning experiences, to meet a lot of different companies. It's a fabulous program. We had our academic and career planning presentation, so basically our senior exit projects where our seniors, we take a 30-minute window in the day where we have all of our seniors still in the building, and they had to present to their Warrior Times a PowerPoint presentation about their path that they took in high school, why they took the courses that they did, what they're doing with the rest of their life, advice to future generations, and got tons of positive feedback on that. So it's a really great event. I saw a number of you there at our Fine Arts Night at the high school. All of the arts, whether it was music and the art itself, fabulous night. We had prom. Honestly, probably the most fun I've ever had at prom, and I've chaperoned this thing about, 15 times probably now. And I mean, I got home, I bet you I fell asleep right away. These kids danced and danced and danced. It took like 4 minutes, and they were out there it was great. It was awesome. We sent a bunch of kids to Bemidji for their world language global citizenship certificate. Miranda Verheyen and Cynthia Johnson spearhead that. We had senior awards night, fabulous night. We were over $180,000. That was last week on Wednesday.
Impressive.
Arena scheduling ongoing for juniors and seniors. That part has finished up next year, so we've got just our underclassmen left to go next week. Tomorrow Wednesday, we're taking the seniors to Interstate Park for their kind of last getaway, and it looks like we're going to have a just beautiful day, so we're super stoked for that. May 19th, last day of school for the seniors. We've got the rehearsal in the morning, followed by the annual senior walk. Always a bittersweet day. And then on May 21st, we've got Sunday, 2 p.m., graduation up at the high school. Final exams, June 1st and 2nd. And then it says June 4th, the summer remodel begins, but for any of you that have been in the high school, it's been game on for a month. And I'm so impressed with these workers, and they're so professional, and they're polite, and they talk to us all the time, and they're just doing a fabulous job. So I can't say enough good things about the workers. So.
I have a question. Actually,
Yes,
it was
sir.
a question Dale brought up. Are you going to have air conditioning for graduation?
Natural air conditioning. Next time we'll have air conditioning will
George
be
with
in,
the fan.
I think, I'm hoping in August of 2024 we will have air conditioning, Steve. So,
Okay.
yeah, but no, we're actually hanging in okay. I promise you, Steve, we'll make it an efficient ceremony on Sunday.
Yes.
Should we put some coolers with the fans and the water?
Won't be needed, shower. I got this under control.
All right, counting on you.
Yeah.
Okay, at the middle school, I just want to touch base on one thing Josh said, the All Skills Career Day, and we brought up every 8th grader. And sometimes we kind of forget just the exposure that's you provide students. Sometimes they see things they've never seen before, and sometimes you have kids that are so excited because they're very familiar. I had 2 examples. I had a girl that was so excited because she learned to cut brick pavers with a device, which was pretty awesome. She came home, she was all excited about that. And then I had another student that was talking to a carpenter, and wanted to show how he said he knew every tool, and the carpenter guy was really impressed that the student could name every tool and what they use it for, and was super excited about getting into the buildings class that the high school has. So that was really a great, great program for our kids. We just held our Genius Hour Expo last Friday, and we had over 300 students presenting their passion project. And just a reminder to the board and to the community, that's kind of a program where we just allow them to research whatever they want within reason. It has to be something that they have to kind of dig into, and then present it in whatever way they want to. And so some of the students have action things. Some of the students do it visually off of computers and videos, and you just saw everything from food to llamas to, or no, they weren't llamas, they're alpacas. It was amazing, all the different kids sharing their passion research projects. So that was really great, and we had a really, really good turnout from the community. Following that, we had our 8th grade youth jam. It's our 24th year. It's kind of like an end of the year celebration with nearing the end of the year celebration for 8th grade. Band started practice today for their parade, and it's the first time 6th grade students have been out and practiced marching, so that was kind of fun to see them get ready for the big Memorial Day parade on May 29th. We have the district retirement party coming up in a couple days, which would be exciting. The senior walk, we're looking forward to the senior walk, and I don't know how many years have you done? No, probably 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years now of the senior walk, and that's going to be really fun to see those students come through and get celebrated by their classmates from pre-K on up. We have our cookout on the 25th. 6th grade is going to go to the 6th grade Pioneer Village on a field trip on May 26th that mentioned Warrior Day. Last day of school coming up, and then we start summer school June 12th, and we have a full battery of classes. Some of them are enrichment, and some are kids working on some skills that they need to work on. And Laura Shulgren, you cannot speak enough about the work that Laura Shulgren did and has done and will continue to do to make summer school successful. She's amazing. And then we have our 2 middle school, big middle school parades. We have the Clayton Parade on June 17th and the Clear Lake Parade on June 24th. And that's it for the middle school.
Good evening. On May 17th, we had 5th grade band signed up, so that's for students that are currently in 4th. We'll be going to 5th grade next year, and we have 55 students that are signed up at this time. Mrs. Sunderland thinks that there might be a couple more that'll trickle in throughout the summer, but that's a good solid number to start out our band program with. Human Growth and Development Committee met on May 19th just to review our human growth and development curriculums. We had a very well turnout for our committee. We have a very broad range of committee, as you just saw, and so I would say most of the members attended, and it was really great conversation and just reviewed what are the current curriculums taught, what are the topics that are taught, what age do we start. It was a healthy, productive conversation. Fifth grade attended the Unity Band Festival on May 19th. So our entire fifth grade band with Mrs. Curtis and Mrs. Sunderland traveled to Unity, and in the morning they do lessons with 2 other schools, and then they have lunch together, and then they actually have a large group concert. And our fifth grade students loved it. They performed well. We got a lot of really great compliments on how well behaved our students are and how strong of a program that we have. We had an all-school celebration, a PBIS celebration, where we went to the Amery Theater and Coffee Bar. Our students loved it. We watched the original Space Jam. I think it was nostalgic for some of the teachers that were there. We're really fortunate to have an asset like that. Our students really, really enjoyed going. I think our teachers did too. The Amery Women's Club has come this past month, and they have done Earth Day programs, which each classroom, so they would present on a certain Earth Day topic. They would do a craft, and then just spend some additional time talking about some Earth Day concerns or topics. The IPO hosted the Harlem Wizards last weekend. That was a lot of fun. I was very sore the next day. In addition to offering the Harlem Wizards, they covered our lunch and cafeteria duty. So all of our teachers here during Teacher Appreciation Week got to have an extended duty-free lunch and got to have lunch from the Village Pizzeria. Amery to Amery, you heard about. WQOW was here. Our students were very excited. What you didn't see was, in addition to focusing on the fundraiser, there, Julia Lopez that came up, she actually spent a half hour with our fifth grade news team. And so during that time, they had lunch in the room right next to us here in the makerspace, and they were able to ask her her career to journalism. What does it look like in a newsroom? How does she pick her topics? So my hope is we have a couple future anchors or journalists based on her excitement when she was here. We have many field trips and concerts that are coming up. And then finally, our kinship program celebrated with an end of the year party. So I want to thank Polk County for that wonderful support that they give our students. And as you can see, we have lots of upcoming events. We had our walkathon today. The AIM Showcase and Musical is fastly approaching. We have our track and field day on May 22nd. That Emergency Medical Services will be here to present to fourth grade. We have our end of intermediate school time with the WAPO trip for our fifth graders. And then now being a school-wide Title I program, our end of the year parent meeting and celebration looks a little bit different. So every child from pre-K through grade 5 and their parents are invited to this after-school parent meeting and celebration. We have our awards day, and then on June 1st, it's a busy day. We have our last day of school, an IPO fun day, and a cookout here at the intermediate school.
Good evening. We have a lot going on at the elementary school this month too. Our kindergarten has been putting on their pet show with Mrs. Eastep and Mrs. Kraft and Mrs. Kaiser finishing up hers this evening. So we got a couple more classes with Mrs. Sjogren and Mrs. Long's class, bringing up the show with the pet show. So the kids have had a lot of fun doing that. So that's been put on by our classroom teachers and also Mrs. Henningsgaard, our music director. The first grade put on their musical adventure, musical, as Mrs. Henningsgaard says, down on the farm. So they had a great time. They did a wonderful job in the auditorium at the high school. Our Children's House Montessori has put on a show and share, so the kids were able to just show all of their guests what they've been accomplishing so far in Montessori, pre-K and kindergarten combination. So they had a lot of fun doing that. Our second grade teachers have been working really hard with the third grade teachers here at the intermediate school on transitioning the second graders on over. So they've been doing a lot of work and a lot of talking and figuring out how that is all going to go. And then they'll come over with in a tour to tour the intermediate school. So they're looking forward to that. We celebrated our lunch hero days. Those ladies worked super hard in the kitchen for us, and we celebrated them. Here recently, we completed our FastBridge benchmark assessments on May 8th, the week of May 8th, and then our FFA brought our kindergarten kiddos out to the school farm to plant trees on May 11th, so that was an exciting time for them. It's been a great connection with the FFA in our building, so we appreciate them. The 4K orientation took place on May 12th. So we had representation with Dr. Derfler and the nurse department, transportation, nutrition, community ed, the library, and the clubhouse, along with many people within the community that came and had tables and met with all of our parents, bringing in new students into our 4K program. So that was a fantastic time that we had with everybody on the 12th of May. The Women's Club as well brought stories and activities to our building for Earth Day, so that was exciting, and it's exciting to watch them be excited about that subject and teach our students more about Earth Day. Along with that came Arbor Day, and the Amery Hospital and Clinic donated trees to our building, so all of our staff and our students went home with a free tree from the hospital and clinic. So another great connection we've had with the community. The 4K visited Minglewood Farms and had a great time out there. Children just, they learned a lot about the farm and they just had a blast. Another community connection that we've had so far this month is with Chet Johnson's. They brought in and did presentations within all of our classrooms for medication safety, teaching kids how to make sure that they are understanding the difference between taking their own maybe daily vitamin and a medication they should leave alone. So that's been a great connection with Chet Johnson's. Our staff appreciation was the week of May 8th, and the district offered some great ways to celebrate our incredibly wonderful staff, and also partnered with our parent organization who supplied us some great treats like a coffee truck and lunch one day and just treats throughout the day. So it was a great connection with our parent organization, so we appreciate them very much. And then May 10th is our end of the year kinship celebration, as well as the intermediate school held. We just appreciate all the hard work that the county and Amy Danielson does to coordinate all of that, and it's just such an important program and connection, and all the students at the high school do such a wonderful job being part of that mentorship program. So we appreciate that. So we had a lot going on at Lean, and coming forward we have the same. We have the remainder, Mrs. Sjogren and Mrs. Long's kindergarten program, our senior walk. Everybody is extremely excited in our building. They've been making posters and you name it over there. They're ready to celebrate these seniors, and some of them have siblings that are graduating, so they get really excited about that. We don't have school Memorial Day. Our end of the year school-wide title get-together will be here at the intermediate school. So Jessica and I have been working together to get that planned with the Title I team. Our PBIS celebration is coming up on June 1st, and then our end of the year lunch cookout is on the 2nd, and I understand I get to grill hot dogs, so I'm excited for that.
All right, just a few updates from Pupil Services. If you remember way back from the beginning of the year, we were awarded a transition readiness grant, and so we're wrapping that up. 4 students have worked in competitive-based employment experiences throughout the year. We've also made a variety of new connections with local businesses in terms of onboarding the ability to have either paid work experiences or volunteer work experiences. The Readiness Grant has incorporated a lot of the elements of the Youth Apprenticeship Program, which was featured recently in an Amery Free Press article. That actually had one of the students through the Transition Readiness Grant was actually featured in that. So that's been kind of a really natural fit for this grant. And of course, with any grant, you're lucky if we've got another round left, so we have applied for next year's funding award. We'll be notified whether or not we are awarded a continuing grant in July. So we're kind of crossing our fingers and hoping that we can continue some of these practices. Family engagement practices here. Just thought it was a good update in light of some of the tools that we use to promote access for English language learners, families who might not have the ability to attend IEP meetings in person. Our case managers use Zoom in a lot of cases. Zoom has a lot of new features now, like language transcription, and things so that parents, if they do struggle with accessing that communication in English, they can get it, for example, in Spanish and have that read to them, or have it written out on the side. We do, where necessary, when there's really high stakes meetings on eligibility and evaluations, we will on occasion contract translation services through a provider in the area who does that. And it's just really important to promote meaningful understanding when families may struggle with the understanding of English. So I just want to recognize Ms. Paula Johnson, who helps supervise that program, and our English language learner teachers, and on occasion our foreign language teachers who assist where necessary in some of those activities. You've heard summer school mentioned a number of times. It's Laura Sjogren's got a lot on her plate. She's getting emails and really preparing for summer school students. And part of that is our nursing, and we're reviewing health information and those things, looking out for students that may have hearing impairments. Some of those tools and equipment need to be moved around in the summer. So thank you to Rose Kupker and Jen Wilking out of CC11, who helps us track that equipment that we move around and get serviced in the summer. That promotes access for kids as well and makes sure that we can provide them a good set of summer services. Finally, we're going to do some training this summer around Read 180. That's an intervention class for reading, and it uses some technology along with some traditional kind of phonics-based instruction for students that are kind of far below grade level. The high school has implemented that in the past. We don't always have the kind of right mix of learners to offer it every year, but we're deciding that it's time to move forward with it again. And so our English language arts teachers are going to get trained with that. And special ed teachers. And rather than hire an outside trainer, we could do that. We could contract somebody. We have some of the best Read 180 instructors, in my opinion, right here in the district. So we're going to do this in-house. And we're just blessed to have someone who feels capable in doing that right here in this room. So I won't mention any names, but you can probably figure it out. So thank you very much for the training, and I think it's going to benefit a lot of kids at the high school level.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Okay. Then we'll move on to our information items. And first is mini grant presentations.
Who's up? We have Stacy Matson's up, Larry Doden, and Melissa Hanson, you're on deck.
I don't know if the podium is short enough.
Well, we could get a saw.
All right. Well, I will flip this here. This is part of what I received. First of all, my name is Stacy Matson, and this is my first year at Amery. I've lived here all my life in Clear Lake, so I went to school there. I came to Amery for a few years, but I taught at Unity for the last 25 years. Lower elementary, second, third grade. This year I am in first grade, and that's new to me. But I really like it here. It's really, I can feel the community support, like our parent organization. It's been great. So that's me. I'm a first grade teacher, and like I said, that was new to me. So I started to teach, and I'm noticing first grade, the spread of levels you have when they're coming in. You have kids that just know their sounds, hopefully, and I had kids that could read grade levels above. So that's one of the difficulties and challenges with teaching first grade. I have a lot of materials for the struggling readers and our at grade level readers, but I needed material for my higher readers. Wanted to challenge them, and it's also hard to find the time to fit into your schedule. When do I do this? So I had used a program in the past at Unity, and it's called Comprehension Toolkit. And so I was able to receive the grant, which I'm very thankful for. In the kit, this is just part of it, and I'm obviously not going to show all of it, but in reading, there are different strategies that you teach kids and work with. And so this kit came with 6 of the strategies, the key components. And this, it has enough material, I could probably do it all year long. The manuals for the teachers are excellent, and there's more books and manuals than I could probably ever read. But each year, like I said, I've used it for quite a while, and each year I kind of dive into it a little bit more. What I like is that I had a student teacher this year, and even just for myself, I've taught a long time, but this was handy. It comes with Teacher prompts comes with what the students might say, so it kind of gets you thinking ahead, and just a lot of things here to help teachers. It's right there, handy. It came with a lot of nonfiction. We were trying to move into nonfiction because that's where the students go as they get older. Trends used to be more fiction. We still use fiction, of course. It was fun. But the key to success with the comprehension toolkit is to get kids to think about their thinking. And it's called metacognition. And that's something that, I mean, as an adult, I'm sure everybody, you read something and you go, what was that? What did I just read? And you're thinking about something else, and you can keep reading it and not have any idea. But kids don't know when they're first starting to read, and you say, okay, tell me what the book was about. What was this paragraph about? And it's just like crickets. Do they not know what they read, or do they not know how to tell me what they read? So that's kind of a key concept right there. But what you're starting with is teaching the kids, I use the words prove it. I'll ask questions, they'll give me an answer, and I'll say prove it. Where did you find in your writing that, you know, those are kind of the things that the comprehension toolkit does. It gives teachers different ways to get the kids thinking, realize that they're thinking. It's got posters and magazines, and I believe I have 3 boxes like that, and then I have a lot of books that go with it. And now, so I have started, like I said, it's hard to find the time to put that into the day, so I do it during our win time, which is what I need now. So our students in first grade and our project-based learning group, we kind of sort them into their abilities and what they need for the week, and it's a 30-minute period. So right now I'm taking the kids that we need to kind of push them and give them what they need. So I do it at that time, and I was so excited. Probably a month ago, I was hearing some of my kids, we were doing a little book club, I call it. I mix up different ability kids and whatever they're interested in, and it was about trains. And I heard one of my students that's in my WIN group say, well, prove it. Where did you find that? And everybody else is like, yay! Like I'm succeeding somewhere. But I'm just very thankful for the grant, and it's a kit that I can share with anyone. My student teacher has been able to use it. So I just want to say I'm very thankful that I was able to use it and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Welcome back to education.
A point of clarity, the grant is a $600 grant from the school district to a school district employee to do something new and innovative in their area. So we have Melissa Hanson, I see here, and on deck is Kostanek and Collins.
Hey there, everyone. I'm Melissa Hanson, and my teammate, Larry Doughton, is umping a WIAA baseball game. So I will be representing for our crew tonight. First of all, we want to thank you so much for the opportunity to purchase this new equipment. And side note, thank you so much to Mrs. Ostero, who took a lot of these great pictures that we have. And a shout out to Mr. Doughton, who did the videography for our presentation, so you can kind of see our game in action. So why did we purchase team launch volleyball equipment? Well, we are always looking for new ways, innovative ways to work on teamwork, communication, and coordination. And this game, that's a modification of volleyball, seemed like the perfect fit for us. And so that's what we did. And so as you can see here, we kind of have like action shots. So you got a little launching and then a looking to move to catch. And so the skills we're working on in this game, obviously, we talked about that teamwork, moving as a team, taking turns. You can't always be the leader. You have to listen to each other and be followers. We also worked on strategy, and you'll see that in the video we have. We also really worked on like the ability to actually use a parachute to launch a giant cage ball. Now, you'll see in our video here that's coming up next, there's 3 to 4 students on a little mini parachute, and their job is to try to score a point, like in volleyball, by getting the ball over the net and to land inbounds on the other team's side. And when that happens, they get a point. And what's awesome about this game is we've given the kids 3 tries to get the ball over the net, like in volleyball, you get 3 hits. And so let's take a look at our team tries. Give them a chance to launch it. You can hear a lot of communication.
It's not always the same one, but.
Oh, cool. The team, and then now watch.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
we didn't quite get
failed.
it. That's okay. What I wanted you guys to see from that one is the teamwork. So one team didn't get it over the net, right? And so what do? They passed it to their teammates to give them a shot. So that was pretty cool to see. And then our second video, you're going to see more of a rally. So you're going to see a little back and forth. And then notice a little strategy. So we had to communicate who's going to catch that.
Small ball.
Watch them move up. A little strategy there.
Whoa.
And points. So that is our game. The kids loved it. So our evaluation, we think it's a success. When you hear the kids asking, when are we going to play that again? You know that it's a game that grabbed them. As you could hear, there was a lot of fun, a lot of like, woo, celebration when they got it over and when they scored points. And they just had a really great time moving as a team. And another big one that we always like to hear as the kids are leaving classes, this is so much fun. So again, we want to thank you for the opportunity to purchase the equipment. And thank you to our photographer, Mrs. Osero, and our videographer, Mr. Dochin. So again, thanks guys.
That's cool.
Thank you.
It looks like fun.
All right, Castana Collins and Derek Meyer, you're on deck.
Why does Derek have that look like? Am I presenting tonight?
Hello, I'm Annalise Collins.
I'm Jana Kostanek.
We're really excited to be here to share with you what we did with our grant money. We had a group of students who came into us this year who had needs that we haven't really faced in the amount that we have had to this year before. We had a very high population of students who have IEPs, 504 plans, at-risk plans, and in anticipation of that and thinking about what we could do, we came up with some ideas for a mini grant.
Okay, let's see the next one. So we just basically decided we needed to give them more opportunities to move while in our classroom, not always taking brain breaks, but figuring out ways to incorporate movement within the day. So you can go on. So these are some of the things that we bought with the people modeling them for us. So we bought some adjustable reading chairs so they can sit on the floor and they adjust to like however they want to lay on. They sit in them in some crazy ways. We bought some, one of their favorite things is the thing that Mateo was sitting with, the bouncy bands. They love those. They sit and kick on them. And they're kind of expensive, so it was nice to have the opportunity to be able to add a couple of those, and then you went together.
Yeah, then we also got some little scratchy stickers for the desk, so if they're feeling anxious or they just need to kind of move a little bit but don't feel comfortable getting up, they can touch that on the desk. A lot of the kids use that. We have to replace them often. And then we have wobble stools and standing desks that are very popular as well. Sometimes they just need to get up and move around a little bit, so we have different areas where they can do their learning in class.
And the standing desk can move together so they can like team up to do different projects as well.
So we decided to survey our students so we could let you know what they thought of all of the items that we purchased. So we sent a Google form to them and asked them a few questions, and we'll show you the results.
So we asked them if they use the flexible seating and learning tools, and you can see for the most part, yes, they do.
Sorry, I can't see anything with this. We also asked what they particularly found useful to help them with their learning and staying focused while they're in English class. Above and beyond anything else, bouncy bands were the most popular thing. I actually just mentioned to students the other day that I don't know if the 7th grade teachers have any of those tools in their rooms, and they're very sad about the bouncy bands because they use those all the time. And you can see everything is very popular, almost between 35 and 50% of students use all of these items.
So then we also asked for just some basic information, like things that they would say, things that help them to be successful. We were surprised how many of them talked about the lighting. I get a headache from the really bright lighting, so my own personal choice is to have some alternative lighting in there, and so many kids talked about that. We were kind of amazed by that.
And we did not purchase that with our grant money. Those are just things that we purchased on our own, but they seem to be really effective and create a really nice learning environment for everyone, just having a different kind of lighting than the fluorescent lights. So that in combination of everything else.
So you're saying the kids liked it when it was dimmer versus brighter?
We have covers that go over the
Oh, okay.
fluorescent lights, so it filters the light. And then we also have LED lights and lights hanging, so we don't have to have all of the fluorescent lights on. We can just have one panel of them, and the rest are turned off with the other ambient light. And we asked, here are just a couple of other quotes from kids for what helps to make a learning environment good for them. And then finally, this is just more quotes.
Yeah.
And we also asked them, why do these tools help you with their learning? And most of the responses that we got from kids are that they just sometimes need to move, and they feel fidgety, or they might be anxious about something, worried about something, and the tools help them to be able to attend class and focus. And they found a lot of success with that.
And I think it was overall really impressive just to see how they do use them as tools. Like, I really had to have a lot of conversations other than in the very beginning about that these are the expectations. They're not being ridiculous. They're doing what they need to do. So it's good. Yeah. You can go next.
Yep.
I like this chair because I can move while I'm reading.
I like this table because it includes this chair that's really fun to wiggle around. It's also good for helping me solve my math facts.
Anyway, we just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for allowing us to use that grant money for this. It was something really small that we could do that made a huge impact on the kids and their learning this year. So thank you.
So what do the bouncy bands do? So like, do they attach to the chair and then like you can?
They're amazing.
Okay.
So they have, they go on the bottom spokes of the desk, on the legs of the desk, and then they can rest their feet on it, so they can kind of do like that, or they can actually push down on it and bounce. We have two different kinds of bands in our rooms. We have the thicker bands that you saw, which is the favorite of the kids, but they're pricey. And then we have some more, they're almost like athletic training bands that can be used. And those don't last as long, but they're more flexible. And so I even go up while I'm teaching, and I find myself using them. I'll push my foot down on it, and it just is like that extra pressure. It helps to focus and get their wiggles out. They're really cool.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, ladies.
I just have a little bit of a question on that one.
Yeah.
Next year, are there teachers, are the other teachers just gonna be, hey, we're really good with you guys moving around and bouncing around all day? Or is that something, again, I just would hate to set another teacher up who thinks that you're gonna sit without.
Oh, I don't want to mislead you in thinking that it's chaos in the classroom and that they're moving around and running around and jumping around and bouncing around. We have very clear expectations for students on how to use the tools, and I would not say it's a distraction to anyone.
Have you talked it over with other teachers? This is all I'm asking.
In terms of our team or for next year?
Yeah, for the 7th grade.
Well, we have plans to meet with different, with the 7th grade team to talk about our experiences this year and what we found works really well for these students, but we haven't met with them yet. But that is part of what we're going to be talking to them about.
We do have some of the wiggle things in some of the other 7th grade rooms for kids that can't just keep their feet still.
I like it. I like it. I'm just saying, I
Yeah.
would hate to set up another teacher
No,
who thinks
right.
you're gonna sit in one spot and not move at all.
Right. And we have a few standing desks in other rooms too. Sometimes we have to rotate them around for certain kids. There are some kids that just don't sit for a very long time very well. So if they stand, it actually holds their attention better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say, as an entire school staff, we talk a lot about movement breaks and different ways that you can get kids moving and interacting in the classroom so that they aren't just sitting there the whole time. And that's been a pretty big priority for everyone on staff.
Awesome. I'm just worried about the disciplinary aspects of it.
Appreciate that. That's good. Yeah.
Watch it out for Tom over there.
I just remember Mr. Heathfield, he threw erasers. His direction was bad. I mean, if you weren't screwing around, you got it anyway.
How would you know this?
How would I know this? I ducked.
That's why he got to be such a good bobber and weaver.
You're up, Derek.
All right. My name is Derek Meyer. I'm the agriculture teacher up at the high school, and just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to use the money for part of our some of our projects that we actually are doing. Gives me a little chance to advertise some of the projects that we have going on. You can see this is on our website. This is at the school district website. It's called The Farm, and that's the property across the street, and we have lots of projects going on there. We just got done planting our 2nd year of Christmas trees with kindergartners, and
You're coming back in July. Don't blow your thunder here. You're coming back here in July.
Okay, I won't then. But you know, we have a lot of projects that are going on, and we're pretty excited about them. So with those projects, one of the ones that we were excited to do was with the bee farm. So we started a bee farm, and it's kind of a really kind of a nice program. We do a lot of mentorship programs that the kids are excited about doing something. They want to learn more, and the way that I see a lot of these programs I call them academies. And so they basically take an area that they want to learn more about, and we try to give them the opportunity to learn as much as they can about that. We've done saltwater tanks, we've done aquaculture, we've done hydroponics, we've done microgreens. We've had a project where one student did a chicken farm, raised eggs. This year we had a young lady by the name of Emma Johnson that really wanted to learn about bees. And the projects that we do are projects that aren't just going to help that one student, but help my whole program. And so I was excited about that because I always wanted to get a bee farm going, and so Emma Johnson kind of took that by the wings, I guess we'll say. And it's been a really positive program. I actually started in the fall, and we started with my natural resources class. We learned about raising bees, and then taking it all the way to where we process it for honey and things like that. And we're in the middle of that, and this grant helped us buy a lot of the things that we needed to purchase in order to get this going. And Emma has been a part of the whole program of actually purchasing the equipment. She's the one that made the order to order the bees, and has gone through the whole process of actually starting this project. So it's not me taking it on and doing it myself. It's the kids are actually doing that. And there was, the natural resources class did a lot of the research, and she had a whole group that worked with her. And now she's kind of taken that over on herself as an independent study and has been doing that. And I think if we go down just a little bit farther, maybe I can move, go. It doesn't say much on the honeybees. I think if you just keep going down, I think there's a nice picture of her. Keep going, right there. There she is. And that's her checking her bees. We've been very fortunate that we have a man by the name of Duke Kruger that has decided to mentor Emma, and has been just fantastic and really has gone above and beyond teaching the whole process of what you have to do in order. So that was just checking her bees, checking to make sure that her queens were actually laying eggs, and are they making the combs, and it's really, it's not only a hands-on experience, but going through that whole process, there's science involved, learning about animal behavior. There's so many things that I didn't even know about when we first started it, of what it takes to actually raise bees. And Emma knows a heck of a lot more than I do now about the whole project, and that's kind of the whole goal of the farm and what we're trying to accomplish. We want to set up mentorship programs that will take it and make it so that kids have an avenue to explore something that maybe they didn't explore before. And so truly excited about this program. This program is going to be with me forever now, as long as I'm here, and hopefully for the next person that takes over. And we'll be processing the honey in the fall, and Duke is going to be in the middle of that with us as well, helping us learn how to do that, because this is the first time for any of us doing this kind of project. And but I want to thank you for allowing us to do this, and I think these are the kind of programs that we're trying to accomplish, and I think this was a very valuable one, and I think Paula will tell you firsthand of all the things that Emma's been doing with that, and it's been just a tremendous opportunity, and hopefully we can do more of these kinds of things as the years go on. Does anybody have any questions about what we're trying to accomplish and what we're doing with the bee farm? It's been we'll be processing our own honey in the fall here, and learning. I know we'll learn a lot as we do that. So,
have you been in contact with the local beekeepers association?
Yep, Duke is heading us through that whole process. Yep, we're going to be part of that.
They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, you have them.
We used to have them.
You used to have them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard they're buzzing with excitement.
You've been waiting all night for that.
Don't give up your day job.
That was bad.
What's your plan for the winter?
So, we have different thoughts. We're not sure yet. We thought about maybe.
Paula said she would take him at her house.
Duke keeps them
I heard that too.
Keeps them every year. And we thought maybe doing that, or maybe sending them to California. We'll see. We haven't decided yet. We'll probably have more luck if we send them to California. But
The bees overwintered well this year, though, for summer. Even though it was cold, bees did well this year.
yeah, not bad this year.
Okay.
We never got one to take.
You didn't. Sad. You did something wrong.
We put up our bear. We put up our bear fence around it, and just in time, Duke didn't do it right away, and he lost a couple hives to the bear to a bear that came right next to his house. So he definitely learned some kind of cool things about that.
I guess that answers that age-old question. Do bears like honey?
They like bees too. Bees.
They like bird feeders, they like
They do.
whatever's in the trash.
We'd love to see the results.
Yeah.
If you want to bring some honey on some.
Joe's pandering for honey.
We'll definitely do that. And you can see, if you want to see the bee
Some
farm, you
muffins.
just look up over on the hill, and you'll see it right up on top of the hill. It's right up there.
On across the road?
Yep, across the road. It's right there. You'll see it. So.
I think Joe's onto something, though. I think it's got to be board approval for, to make sure that honey's good enough.
Glad to do it.
He's onto something.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Doug.
Thanks.
No more?
We got one more?
One more.
Or two more, one presentation.
Okay, move this forward to see them. All right. Well, I'm Mackenzie Goodrow. I am the speech language pathologist at Wayne Elementary School. This is my first year here.
And Steph Crawford, early childhood special ed.
So we are going to talk about AAC, which I'll get to in a minute what that means, and how we've been using it with our youngest learners, our 3-year-olds. So how we got here, Steph and I do a lot of coach reading together, and at the beginning of the year, we have a lot of kiddos that are minimally verbal. So I've been kind of bothering her about maybe we should try this thing called AAC, and then the mini grant came along and stars aligned and this worked out perfectly for us. So this is my quote that I go to from 1991 IBM. For people without disabilities, technology makes things easier. But for people with disabilities, technology makes things possible. So kind of sets the stage for what we're going to talk about.
And the why, I don't know if any of you have hung out with young children when they want something but you can't figure out what they want. Leads to frustration for both parties involved. So like she said, a lot of the children that come to us in early childhood, language is one of the reasons they're receiving special ed. They can't share their wants, their needs, their feelings, these frustrations, tantrums, everyone's feeling sad. And then when they start in school, they can't take part in classroom discussions, story times, play times, they can't interact with their peers if they're not using their voice. That's the why.
So what is AAC? It stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication. So augmentative being it adds to someone's verbal speech. Alternative means that it would take that place of their verbal speech. There's multiple types of AAC. The no-tech, low-tech, that's going to be paper and pencil, sign language, facial expressions, writing. But we're looking at this high-tech, so using apps on tablets, using a computer with a voice, and let's call it a speech-generating device, which is what we used our money to purchase.
And the many benefits. So it helps improve behavior, modify behaviors, improve their natural speech. They get to hear the words a lot as they push the buttons. It enhances their comprehension. They can take part in story times, take part time with their peers. They get to be social with their peers. They get to be social with adults. They predictability. They know, I hit this button, here's what it's going to say, here's what I'm going to get. And then they get to be independent. And it gives them a voice that they don't have. So this is one of the devices that you guys can see. There it kind of has the pictures like that. And that's this app right here called TV Snap. And say if we're having a snack, the kids can drink. Say that they want something to drink. Or a lot of times our kids, lately they've been wanting, and then there's the downside, I believe, sometimes too, yeah. Cookies, candy. So those are their favorite ones, they ask for every day. Well, they don't, so then they can pick what they want at snack, we know what they want. This other one, so these two are both apps like this. This one is this handy dandy, indestructible childproof case for the iPads. This one is called Board Maker. It allows us to take pictures of these. Say we're going outside, out to recess somewhere where this isn't great to take, or technology fails, battery is dead. We can do the pictures and they can pick things they want to. And then this last one is Label Picks. This allows us to quickly take a picture of something in the classroom, their peers, label it, and then we can add that to the device as well.
So another quote, I really like quotes. So 90% of people using AAC enter adulthood without any functional literacy skills. And I learned this fact way back in grad school, and it really stuck with me, and I think it kind of brings us to where we are now. We have 2 videos to show you of a very precious little one that we adore, who is reading Brown Bear with Steph, and he's using his device to tell her what animal's coming up next on the pictures, or on the pages. And then the next one, he tells us what he wants to see in the book. So
I realized they're both really long because he was doing a really great job.
See. Brown bear, what do you see? I see a red bird looking at me. Is it on here? Where's the red bird? Red bird. Red bird. Red bird, what do you see? I see yellow duck. Can you find the yellow duck on there?
Yellow duck.
Yellow duck looking at me. Yellow duck, what do you see? I see blue horse looking at me. Where's the blue horse?
Blue horse.
Blue horse, what do you see? I see green frog looking at me. Where's the green frog?
Green frog.
Green frog!
I don't know. He finds it, so.
Where's this one?
Frog.
Where's this one?
Horse.
He is, yeah, we're very proud of him. We're proud of all the kiddos we work with, so it's really, this is great. We each have an iPad, and kids are playing, you can really customize it to anything that they're doing within the classroom and play-based. And, oh, I see you're playing with the farm animals. Which farm animals do you have? And they can tell us all about their farm animals.
We can add staff pictures so they know which therapist maybe is coming to see them today. We can add friends, pictures from the classroom.
Have you seen a change in like their ability to then verbalize what they want after using this a period of time now? Does it seem to improve their skills?
That friend that we just watched, he had no words at the beginning of the year. Now we hear yeah, no, ma, dad, go. Don't know, yeah, so.
Yeah, so he's definitely more confident and then speaking of confident too, he has his device and then a couple other kids came close and he took his device and he's like, I know this is mine, this is how I talk. He was very much like, this is what I need to talk, so he took ownership of that as well.
Fantastic.
We are very thankful that we have these now and we can share them with all of our littlest learners here at Amery.
Fantastic.
Good.
Thank you.
Well, I'm not gonna let him leave. You don't have to stay for the good parts. Sorry, that clears the room, don't it?
Is that all of us or just them?
Nice try.
Jonathan, you can't leave. I know, he was looking like he was gonna make it.
Can you tell me more about the mini grant? Is it like how much do you generally have available? Is it?
Well, it's offered in the early part of October each year. The deadline is in essence, the last day of October. It's been $600 for the last 3 or 4. Prior to that, it was $300. It's got roots way back into the probably 2010 range, you think, Tom? At least that.
We started it when Steve Shield was here.
Yeah, it was a long time. And we typically take a mini grant from the elementary, intermediate, middle, high school, then one from pupil services, which is what we had here today. And offer those opportunities. And if somebody has a good idea, they're doubling up in the building, we still are gonna make it happen, because innovative ideas for kids, we're always gonna say yes to. So that's the general overlay of what takes place. Go
One
ahead.
of the rules we have, it's not supposed to be like a one and done thing. It's supposed to be something that, if it's working really well, we can continue to use with other kids in other ways, or we can learn from it so we can continue on, rather than, spend the money on something that's, celebrate something that's gone and you can't use again, so.
So we'll continue that on into the future. It's been a very successful endeavor. And to piggyback on Tom's point, some of the stuff we have been doing for well past a decade, and it has its roots in mini grant.
Okay,
All right?
next we'll go to our ESSER funds.
Okay. The complexity of school finance is sort of depicted here, because what you're going to see is information on 3 different cash flows that are, one's very different than the next, but all 3 are directly connected to school budget. But they're not the same. In an effort of transparency, what I'm seeking to do here on behalf of the district and on behalf of the district office is to make clear how monies that either the citizens of this school district or the state or the federal government have made available to us, how that money's been used. And in some cases, we have it down right to the penny. and you can see exactly what has been used and what is yet available. So if you have questions, I'm going to certainly have an opportunity for you to ask those. I'll stop at the end of each of the 3 sections rather than wait till the end. So the first of which is the 2017 referendum. This is incredibly old news by now. Some of the information that you're going to see, I've presented nearly 40 times and probably 10 times here. But it stands to reason that we want to continue to remind people what took place. So back in 2017, there was a referendum passed. It was a recurring referendum of $1.9 million, or $1,900,000. And the 4 areas that it targeted, and you'll see it on the pie chart here, are technology, maintenance, and security, curriculum and resources, and staff. The piece of the pie that was talked about the most clearly was talked about in the April of 2022 referendum process, was the red piece, the maintenance and security piece. But there are 3 other pieces. So how has that money been used over time? What you'll see here is year after year, starting in 17, 18, how the maintenance and security, again, $700,000 was used. These are projects chosen, projects completed, projects been paid for. So these numbers are over and done with in previous budgets. So we did a family and consumer ed room at the high school in 17, 18. In 18, 19, we did a variety of work at the elementary, the dish machine, the lockers, the hallway soundproofing, terrazzo, and carpet in the office. In 1920, we did through-wall flashing at the elementary and the J-wing, which is where the Montessori presently is and where the clubhouse location will be in the future. And the parapet wall repair, that's at the top of the building where the wall meets the roof. We had bricks literally tipping in where you could see water getting in, and various other things can get into the wall. The bricks had tipped out so much, they were ready to fall to the ground. And you could see them. That's no longer the case. We fixed that. In 2021, we carpeted hallways at the middle school, vinyl tiling at the high school. Then district-wide, we did tennis courts, PAs and clocks, and the auditorium lights. In 21-22, we did playground equipment. Remember, we partnered with parents as partners. They paid for half and we paid for half, and we added that American Ninja playground equipment. The high school gym floor, through-wall flashing in the library portion of the high school. Flooring in classrooms, terrazzo at the middle school, and upgrade of a middle school classroom. So that was in 21-22. Now in regards to staffing, remember there's 4 pieces to the puzzle. The referendum portion for staffing, and this is not an exhaustive list. These are simply some of the positions we've been able to add. We have 2 student success coordinators, a guidance counselor at the elementary, a variety of paras throughout the district, grounds position, and a playground paraprofessional. All of these positions, remember, these are not one-time expenses. If you hire someone and you keep them on, it's an every year expense. And the money devoted in of the 1.9 million towards staffing has allowed this to occur. And these are now sort of short stop kind of positions. They are incredibly important in these buildings. If we now pull the stop and think room out of the elementary or intermediate, we would have some very serious problems. These student success coordinators at the elementary, intermediate, middle, high school, they're doing every bit the work of anyone else in pupil services. They're hugely important positions. So that's a snapshot of what those referendum dollars helped us do in staffing. Technology, I'm going to hold off on some of this information because you're going to see it next month when Lonnie is here to talk to you about the IT rotation for staff and student device replacement, and also big screen televisions. But please know the money in 2017 from the referendum allowed us to do devices for each kid and also for staff, and also put these TVs in classrooms. Without the 2017 referendum, we don't have that ability, and we are fully one-to-one as a result of those dollars. And we got one more, sorry. The 2017 curriculum money. Remember, there's money in there for curriculum. That money is used to supplement the curriculum dollars that were already there. This is half, maybe a little more than half of the curriculum cycle. Going back to 2017-18, the money from the 2017 referendum helped pay for curriculum at each and every one of these areas. And we're ready to do the next order, which is 2023-2024, and we'll do that next spring for 4K through 8th grade science. So if we don't have 2017 money in through the referendum in curriculum, we simply are able to get less or less quality curriculum, and that we don't want to do. So that money has been used and then some towards the benefit of our kids instructionally. And I think that's the last slide in the curriculum piece,
Now,
or the referendum piece. Go ahead.
We've had some people talk about when we were doing the last referendum.
Yes.
And I was chairing that committee, I'd get questions, why didn't they just move money from one place to another place? So can you speak to that?
Well, first of all, you can't carry money over from budget year to budget year, which is a bit of an anachronism in the world of doing business that is money. It would be helpful to have a rainy day account where you can save. There's only one place to do that, and you'll see that in a bit. A lot of folks said, simply take the $700,000 and take care of these referendum needs and make sure it happens. $700,000 over $43.5 million is 60 years. That's simply not going to work.
But you can't move from one pie wedge to another pie wedge.
You can move it. You can move 1.9 million around. You could do 1.9 just for building and grounds, or buildings and it was building and grounds. But then what about curriculum? What about retaining staff? What about devices in kids' hands? It's simply dangerous to pool all that money in one spot for a prolonged period of time, because something's got to give. If you don't get devices, eventually you're going to get devices for everyone all at the same time. So that's why we've spread it out in this way. And that was earmarked way back in 17. Sorry,
I think
go ahead.
that's the question I have, though, is exactly that maintenance and security, many of which is being taken care of at taxpayer expense by the $43.5 million, that I would sure love to see that 700 go to paying off that.
You looking at me, you want me to pay it?
I want you to pay it off.
Here would be my contention, the ones that we are addressing through the present referendum, that's great. We're checking the boxes on nearly all of the number ones as in number one priorities. The feasibility studies, 1s, 2s, and 3s. The 2s will soon be 1s here within the next 5 years, and some of them within the next 2 or 3 years. The middle school, for its life of 30 years, the middle school's falling apart. The middle school is in as much disrepair as the high school is in some regards for its life. So we got to be careful about taking our eyes off the prize of we still have issues to address, and I believe we will continue to do just that with that $700,000 unless you see fit to do something different.
I sure would like to see that we can make people not believe that schools are falling apart after a $43.5 million referendum.
Middle school's got some serious issues, and we unfortunately have had to spend, you'll see some of it coming up here, heat pumps and boilers at the middle school, which weren't expected to happen, and all of a sudden had to. The HVAC system at the elementary was in the same boat. That literally happened in the middle of the referendum process. All of that was completely unplanned for, and thankfully we had the means to take care of it via federal dollars.
And maintenance doesn't stop, Joe, it's ongoing.
Yeah, but my point is we should budget for this.
And you can't budget for things that just happen to break. I mean,
The-
You're not expecting it.
Well, the hard part is some of these projects are way more than 700,000.
Sure, yep.
You can't budget, you can't hold that, if you put the 700,000 into a savings account, you can't touch that for 5 years. That's Fund 180. And so by the time 5 years ends, the project has become way more than the 700 that you thought you were saving. Every year it's going up. So
I agree with you, Joe. I think we need to do a better job of long-term planning in this district in regards to maintenance. I think the feasibility study of the fall of 2016 prior to the 2017 referendum being passed is an excellent place to start, and the feasibility study done just before this most recent referendum was also an extension of that, an excellent place to continue. But we need to have, again, our eyes on the prize of what else is going to happen next. I don't know what's going to happen next. Hopefully, we have taken care of the biggest tickets. I think the high school is presently the biggest ticket, and it is clearly being addressed. But what's next? I think we need to be prepared for that. That's why they're all on the list. The list is changing by the day. The 2s are still sitting there, and we know they're going to become a 1. The roof of this building is soon to be a 1. This building is 20 years old. Roofs last about 25 to 30 years. So it's already on the list. So yeah, we need to do a better job of planning, so no one's surprised. But unfortunately, there's always going to be some surprises.
But
And we
what
had a
do-
few of
I
those.
know we don't want to call this a rainy day fund, but the thing is what do other school districts who need a new roof do?
Go to referendum?
They go, that's the only way is to go to, because that's not an option after
It's-
asking the community.
it's not.
For taxpayer dollars of
It's not.
43.
It's not.
That, the 2019 and 2020, that $700,000 that we did with the through-off flashing and the
Yes.
parapet
Yep.
wall repair, correct me if I'm wrong, George, but that was kind of that parapet wall repair was kind of a surprise, right?
Yeah, I mean, walking around the building and seeing a bunch of blocks that were tipped over led us to realize that it was, it was all over, it was all the way around. That actually was caused by a roof issue. That roof's 2007, and it's like the ever-shrinking rubber roof, I just had the Carlisle guy out there a few days ago, and trying to get some warranty for a leak that happened in the gym, because we have an actual 20-year leak warranty on it. When I mentioned to him, I said, it's obvious we're looking at this rubber pulling away from the T-bar on where it comes up the wall. He says, yeah, it's been determined now that the rubber shrinks. I said, well, if it was determined in 2007, we may not have went with your roof. So, but they're all shrinking. The best thing we can do is get up there like we do, get this stuff out, get the stuff off the roofs that could cause the issues. And then we've been cutting them, relaxing them, and putting a new piece to the wall.
Right.
There are really two ways to address, and it's not, obviously, none of us think of it as a rainy day fund, but two ways to address major projects that need to occur. The first of which is your $700,000 you have through this money, and the second is Fund 46, which you're going to see here in a few minutes. Those are really the only two spots. And Fund 46, in essence, is you put the money in now, and when it's needed, you got it, because it operates outside of the revenue limit. It's there. It's your only savings account that you have. And if this board wants to do that, you simply put the money in and then you use it. Because now that it's open, you can put it in anytime you want. You don't have to wait 5 years, because as you'll see in a bit, when we put that money into Fund 46 in 2017, you have to wait 5 years before you can touch it. Well, 2022 in the fall arrived, and we could use it, and we did. So those are really your only two ways. There isn't another way in school finance to do those big projects, other than what's happened in the last 2 years, which is ESSER money, which has never existed and may never exist again. My hunch is, my hope is it doesn't, because it came with really bad circumstances surrounding it. We used that money. I don't know what we would have done if we hadn't had ESSER money to do the elementary school. That was $850,000, or approximately that. I don't know what we would have done. We would have been in big trouble. The heat pump situation and the boiler at the middle school, we would have been in serious trouble without ESSER money. We used it wisely. We used it right where it needed to be, and it was well-timed, thankfully.
So
Other
there's-
questions?
There's the balance act, do you put money into the Fund 46 and wait for several years for it? Or do you take that money and put it in your fund balance, so then your fund balance stays at the AA rating, and so when you do borrow money, we're at a low interest rate because we've got good credit score, basically. Because we're, when Jonathan was here, right, last week, he was talking about that 15% that you want to basically have in your cash flow system, so we're not borrowing when we rise up and down, but you have to fund that. And so you end up at the end of the year with a couple $100,000, usually something like that from the budget. Where do you put it?
And we can speak to what had happened
Yeah.
with that, is that the first year that I came on, so it was 2018, that we did have some surplus at the end of the year, and that was supposed to, by board directive, stay in our fund balance. So it was 150,000, is that right?
180.
80,000. And against board directives, it was moved to Fund 46. And that's how we got the money in Fund 46, but we were locked. So projects that we needed that money for couldn't get done because we couldn't touch it. And then you kick the can 5 years down the road, and yes, it was nice to have it there, but we could have used it or had it in that fund balance to use it sooner. And it would have bolstered our credit score. but that's spilled milk now and you can't do anything about it.
Anything going into this Fund 46 is locked for 5 years, or is it just
No,
once it's
one,
opened up?
yeah, once it's open, you gotta wait 5 years, and now you can contribute however much you want and use it however you see fit.
Okay.
But once it's open, you gotta wait 5 years. Which is what we did. We collected $124 in interest, so that's not your big bang for your buck there at all.
Yeah.
School finance is crazy.
It is, and I think it's crazy because for a variety of reasons, you spend it down to zero and then get your new amount on July 1. That, none of us operate like that. No businesses in town operate like that either. It's sort of a backwards way to do it.
Well,
But-
they're gonna fix it someday.
I don't know. Someday, I've been hearing that for a while now, but it is, I agree with you, Joe. It's not complex, I think it's illogical in a lot of cases. So ESSER dollars, if you want me to move on. ESSER dollars is the second portion of the presentation, and ESSER dollars is entirely, exclusively what we've dealt with here in the last 3 years. It's, in essence, federal funding. There were 3 rounds, but there were 2 rounds for ESSER 2. That's illogical as well. So there were 4 rounds ultimately.
Found more money.
So ESSER 1, it was used to pay clubhouse employees who were not here. And please know, it could have been any employee group you could have paid, not just clubhouse childcare employees. We simply chose to pay them because it fit. We could have paid anyone. You could have paid $135,000 to another employee group. It just would have been different words on the screen. So that was ESSER 1 way back at the tail end of 2020. Then ESSER 2, there were 2 rounds, 546 and 302. So here's, in essence, evidence for what I was saying before. I remember the day George walked in my office and said, we got a problem at the HVAC. It's not just the squirrels that are running around in these tunnels up above Cheryl Meyer's office. We got some serious issues. It sounded like there were squirrels. We have a HVAC system that is not failing, it has failed. And we were heading into the summer, and we were gonna have winter again the next year, and we knew it was gonna be a big ticket. We spent every single one of these dollars on that HVAC system, and that still didn't cover it. We got very close, but $848,000 could not have been better timed. HVAC was a qualifying expense because it improved ventilation. Remember, the elementary school was built in 1967. That's a 55-year-old building when this was done.
And
So
that was the original system in there, right?
original system. How they got it in, they basically put it in and it built around it. And how we got it out was not quite as easy. They had to, in essence, dismantle it. It was unbelievable. And there was only one outfit that bid on it. It was so complex. I mean, it was nearly impossible. We were ready to start blowing out the walls in the elementary gym. So it was quite a deal. That was ESSER
Just bring it
2.
through the hole in the ceiling?
They dismantled it.
No, I meant the hole that
It was span-
George already has in the
It was
ceiling.
span-
Before, but that's got a span-creed roof.
Yeah.
You can't cut it.
ESSER 3 was 1.229, so 1,229,433. That was used to pay for the heat pumps at the middle school, an unplanned expense. It literally just happened. There's 65, 70, 75 of them. They were failing left and right. We had to replace them because heat pumps don't just heat pumps cool as well. So without heating and cooling, 6, 7, 8 months of the year is going to be a problem. We also added 2 instructors for 2 grades, K and 3rd grade, where we had biggest academic need. That's 2 years. This year was year 1, next year would be year 2. And then lastly, cybersecurity. Much of the cybersecurity was 2-factor authentication. And one of the big reasons we tackled that, we could not get insured via our insurance carrier because we did not have proper security measures in place, and we are ready to get hacked if we don't do that. There are districts who went without internet and email access for upwards of a month in the state of Wisconsin, and I think that might be a huge problem. So we had to double down on making sure we were a little more safe. So that's ESSER 3, and that's the last of the rounds. All of this money needs to be encumbered by September of '24. I just got an email today on ESSER 2. They must be sending out to everybody because our ESSER 2 money's been spent a year and a half ago. All of it's been encumbered. So we're set. I don't really think most districts are holding on to the money. I think most folks have taken care of it, but I can only speak to us. We have used it. It's done. Questions about ESSER dollars.
What do we do with the instructors after the money's gone?
I think we continue to have those instructors and we pay for them through our budget. I don't think we have any choice if we're going to get rid of those instructors. I think that will be a problem. But more to your point, Joe, I think there are cuts that go with that in other places. Because if you have the ability to do that, to offset that expense, you sort of zero out the plus versus the negative. And I think we have the ability to do that based on some of our enrollment picture. And we've already mapped that out. I've met with the building principals in regards to how that's going to be mapped out. Because that enrollment, that dip, it just cycles its way right through all 4 buildings. Right now, it's left the elementary, it's in the intermediate, the next spot's gonna be middle, the next spot will be high school. You can see it coming from a mile away.
Is that I can't remember on the teachers, can they follow these kids, like, can they?
Well, we do some looping, but typically it hasn't happened in recent years, but you can. But you can't really do that at middle and high school, that just becomes grade level specific. But some have done that. I think maybe you even did it yourself, Jessica. You looped, I think you looped a year.
Wolf was one of those guys who went
Yeah,
to third,
absolutely.
fourth.
So Andy will move back up to 4th.
Right, because what's happened right now, our 3rd grades are a big number. We got 120-ish. Well, 120 3rd graders becomes 120 4th graders. You've got 7 instructors in 3rd grade now, or 3rd grade right now. Well, when you bring in an 89, you don't need 7. That 7 becomes a 4th grade 7, and Andy's one of those people, and we've already, other movement that you saw when we met, that you follow that trend. But here's the trick. In 2025, 2026 versus 2015, 2016, we will move from 352 to 252. That's 100 less kids, just like the elementary endured 100 less kids. Those 100 less kids are going to be met with staff reductions. We have 1 staff reduction this year. In 2 years, there'll be 2 more staff reductions, which mirrors the addition of these 2 added instructors. You don't need the same number of instructors if you have 100 less kids. That's just reality.
And that was kind of all mapped out in the stuff that we got last month, correct?
It's mapped out, and it'll be mapped out even further, because right now it's mapped out 5 years out.
Right.
Well, soon it'll be mapped out 10 years out, because that picture will be middle and high school in the next 5 to 10 years. Excellent questions, because this is all part of the picture. Fund 46, we've already touched on. This is literally the flow chart. This is my accounting on a PowerPoint slide of what this looks like. We had $150,500 back in 2017. And again, remember, you can't touch that for 5 years, so we paved the service road, and we did that 5 years out. That cost us $80,000. That was the east-west road, because that was in much worse shape. There were some very impressive potholes on that road, so we addressed that. We used that to replace middle school boiler, which cost $63,000, $30,000 of which just to install. Curb stops that you see in front of the high school parking lot there, between the elementary and the high school, they were put there. Crack filling and striping, that was in parking lots. And then the pathway to the middle school, which was a dangerous path, a workman's comp claim waiting to happen. It was far too steep and got very icy, so we fixed that issue, and we picked up $124 in interest. So we're at $20,446. One of the items that's potentially on the docket for the use of that money could be the north-south service road, but it's not nearly in as bad a shape, and we could also address that through the referendum if we wanted to. But you can add more, you can leave it as is. It's going to be largely the same because your interest rates, and you're not going to pick up money that way. You're going to have to contribute if you want it to grow. That's not a decision you need to make here and now, but it's a topic of conversation as we move forward. Questions for me about Fund 46? Okay, thank you.
All right. And we'll go to our referendum update.
Referendum update. We have a meeting this Wednesday for Building and Grounds. George, Ryan, our 2 board representatives are Joe and Keith. We're going to meet at the high school. There is work that's already been done there. You'll notice behind Josh's office, it's no longer anything there. It's a wide open room, which is going to be a mechanical room. Remember, we needed a new mechanical room in order to run all that pipe off of that room, because right now it's outside, and we're moving it inside, and that's the location that's been chosen by architects. We've got work that's been done in the tech ed and ag area, and we have work that's being done on the rooftops. They're trying to pick spots that are not too invasive, but it's been invasive, let's just be honest. You're making noise, we're having school. So we've got some work already underway, but it's going to be full on here soon. George is going to help me with some of this information. You'll see a variety of pictures. And George is the, okay, what do you got for us, George?
I've got a prop here, I'll have my lovely assistant.
I was gonna say, I think you need somebody else there.
Which one are you referring to as lovely? I'm a little concerned.
That'd be Josh.
So, this shows the magnitude of what's being touched over at the high school. Pretty much the entire building. And the different colors represent different time frames where they move from one area to another. Basically, they're starting with a new air handler. They're going out as far as they can, putting in BEV boxes along the way. And then we'll put those rooms back together and they'll continue the ductwork into a next room. So those colors have a lot of people nervous at the high school because they have to box everything up, and we need to move basically 99% of it out of the room unless it's attached to the wall.
So in short form, what George is saying, we're simply phasing the work through the building and not upgrading it all simultaneously. There's simply not enough time in a summer to do it all at the same time.
On average, we have about 6 classroom teachers that'll be uprooted at about a 2.5 month segment each.
Yeah. And they've been great, and Josh has been great. I mean, the workers over there, they can't believe how accommodating they've been. I mean, to really start in May. In fact, Russ Anderson had a new construction soup on hand, and I remember the day he showed up, and these guys were ready to rock and roll and start busting walls out and taking ceilings down. And the job superintendent got mad at him and said, you know you're not starting until June 2nd. So they're calling me up saying, boy, all we can do is investigate. I said, no, it's already been handled. We just got to bring him up to speed. So progress was being made before we even had a construction soup on site. So it's really going good. So this is a couple of pictures of the roof. Basically, it's like the moon up there. All these penthouse.
Have you been to the moon, George?
One of the same.
So these fresh air intakes, these rooftop gas-fired VX units, all the exhaust, that'll all come out, and they'll fill those holes. And we're going to go with a built-up tar and pea gravel roof. We're going to be going with a fully adhered roof. That's not supposed to shrink. Here's a good representation of what's going on with the through-wall flashing. This water that gets in the wall comes down in the hallways that wrap around the gym. The black here is the old stuff that's, you know, you can just grab it and it's brittle and there's a lot of holes in it, so the water just runs past it into the.
So the purpose of through-wall flashing, George, is to keep the water out of the walls.
No, the water's gonna get in.
Wick it out.
Right,
To get it out.
get it out.
Yeah.
But what's happened is the through-wall flashing has failed, so it isn't being gotten out. It's pooling and then going down the walls.
Yeah, so this brick absorbs water, that water gets in here, it's supposed to, this is a new piece of flashing, this red. So it'll get down to the bottom here and then they'll have weep ropes that come out and it just follows the weep ropes. So I'm talking with the guys from the circus trailer. They've encountered a number of different things. Not only was the flashing deteriorating, they found some poor workmanship in bricks. They didn't, when they ran the original through-wall flashing, they didn't overlap it, so there was gaps in some of it. But anyway, you'll learn that stuff once you cut into it, but it's a massive project, and that's got to happen on the lower level as well. Shop classroom, there's saw cutting on the weekends or after the kids are gone, and a 4 or 5 foot trench down there, dirt's pulled out, they're putting in a new hand wash sink. And the reason they had to dig that up is we're gonna be actually, to code now, we'll have a eye wash station in there. It'll happen on both sides. This is a special ed room. There's probably 35 feet of trench that was dug out of there, simply to get drains for the new air handlers, the condensate drains, so, yeah. And this started a month ago. I mean, ceilings have been removed, and lights are actually hung by wires there, so we didn't have to, storage was a problem, so we figured we'll just leave them in place, wire them up. And this used to be the wall where Josh Ganji had his office right here. So that wall was removed, that classroom got a little bit bigger.
So this is the schedule for us, and I understand this isn't gonna be the Bible. We'll have stuff we'll have to reschedule around. The first meeting date is scheduled for this Wednesday at 5 PM, and I understand that not everyone's gonna be able to make it every single time. We want to be able to have you eyes on site so you can be the person that we defer to rather than us defer to just George when we're at board meetings. We can say we were just in there and this is what we saw. Did you have any feedback that you wanted to provide? You sort of can't do that unless you're there seeing it. And if you're interested in such things, there's going to be a lot to see because it's a pretty exciting time. They've done a lot of work already, and I can only imagine how much more is to happen this summer. It's going to be a big deal. Questions?
The only thing I'd say is if one of the other board members can't make it, I'd love to go, so.
We won't turn you away.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, we will.
Because if there's two of us there, we can't have a third.
Well, if one of you can't make it.
So,
One of us can't make it.
we'll do that.
Well, and I work just right across the road, so I can run over if I have to.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Where
And
we
don't forget
meeting?
about the elementary. We got stuff happening there. It's just not much has happened yet.
So where are we meeting Wednesday?
High school.
High school? Okay.
I'm willing to give tours anytime. I like show and tell stuff.
We'll take
good
about,
at it, too.
we'll take about 45 minutes or so. I know people have other things to happen in life. And I know we got retirement party on that night, so we'll make it over.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, George.
Thanks, George.
Yep. All right, now to our action items.
Okay. The approval of the 23-24 open enrollment applications. This is from the traditional window, which is always open in the spring. You can open enroll at any point during any school year. That's the alternative window. This is a representation of the traditional window, which is February, March timeframe, which is why we're looking at it now. So these are open enrollment ins. You'll see grade and you'll see residence district where they're coming from, and then you'll see open enrollments out. You'll see we have 11 coming in and 32 going out. That's not the number that we want, but typically we've done better on the alternative window. The destination that you see the most of here on the screen is New Richmond. If you mapped it, and we've done this before, my guess is nearly every single one of those New Richmond open enrollments live to the west and the south of the school district down towards Star Prairie. And again, I don't want to assume, but my assumption is, based on prior inquiry, is that is for workplace convenience. They work towards the cities, whether that be they're going to Anderson or going all the way to St. Paul or Minneapolis. They're dropping their children off in the morning and they're picking them up on the way home. The logistics of doing an Amery school district placement for them is 30 minutes on each side of the day, because on a good day, from there to here is 15 minutes. On a bad day, it could be a half hour, 40 minutes. So it's out of convenience, and that would be my estimation. It's also what they've told us in years past. Now, the others to other destinations, I can't say for certain unless we talk to them.
Are any of these online opportunities?
Anyone that's not in the region, if you go down further, Becky, I know that Medford is. That's an online option. I don't see any of the others, I don't think. I don't see any Grantsburgs.
I think the St. Croix Central.
St. Croix Centrals are.
St. Croix Central, I was thinking it as well.
Yep.
St. Croix Central is an online option. And any Grantsburgs that you would see would probably be online, but I don't see any Grantsburgs. But in the but in the alternative window, you see a lot of Grantsburgs. That's Grantsburg iForward, which is a virtual option. I imagine we are very proud of the product that we have here, to come up with a formula for how people would choose to stay and people would choose to come. I don't think we've cracked the code on that one any more so than many have. Again, if you look at the population, and Joe was at that meeting, Shar was at that meeting, Jessica was at that meeting, and Brad was at that meeting, district populations. You remember the bright yellows on the state of Wisconsin map? Every bright yellow was a district with a virtual school option. The only two districts in this CISA that remained bright yellow, which means greatest population growth, were Grantsburg and St. Croix Central, both with virtual options. So we had a conversation last week at our technology meeting. We need to start exploring that more. If that's where the population is at, that's where people's interests are at, we're gonna have to go where their interest is and start investigating what that would look like.
We're also gonna be offering some of the best schools out of all the districts. We're gonna have the newest schools. We're gonna have some of the lowest teacher to student ratios. I mean, other opportunities that I hope other people will see and look at us.
That would be my hope as well. We're doing some pretty innovative things here. We're building homes and doing school farms and Montessori programs and school forests, and not everybody's doing that. Again, it's hard to know why people are going where they're going. I get the convenience thing. If I lived towards Star Prairie and I worked at Anderson Windows, I wouldn't backtrack either, probably. New Richmond's a great school district. I don't have anything bad to say about any of these districts. They're great districts. But for the reasons for others, I don't know.
Does WIA still have that rule that you can't transfer?
The senior rule?
Is it the senior rule?
Maybe that, am I misspeaking on that, Josh? You can't transfer as an athlete as senior without having to sit out a year. Isn't that accurate, or is that old language?
There's an appeals process, if extenuating circumstances.
I think where it began is where they were establishing all-star teams in big metro areas where everyone was piling on the same team senior year. And it literally was an all-star team, so they tried to get that to stop happening. But I think if you really want it to go, you can really go. What the state of Wisconsin has done, they have made open enrollment the wild, wild west. You could leave at any time for any reason, and there's very little opportunity for you to say no.
I guess I just see, like, with New Richmond, there's a lot of sixth graders, going to New Richmond, and I'm just wondering if that's could be from
Here's my guess.
opportunity.
Here's my guess. Homeschool from K through 5. Middle school, the parent starts running out of the opportunity to offer advanced level reading and math, so they enroll them in public school in 6th grade. We have families that do that here.
Sure.
I don't see a lot of kids that we have are going, not a lot. We do have some, but not a lot that leave if they're here. But, you know.
And some of these kids have never been here before, to set the record straight. They have been homeschooled. They simply reside in this district. So this isn't district enrollment lost by 21. And talking to Erin, she could only name 2 or 3 of the resident kids that are here that are going elsewhere. They're homeschool kids that are now enrolling elsewhere. That's what a lot of this is.
So this 21 number isn't necessarily 21 kids
not.
that have been here, it's maybe 2, 3.
It's not, but the alternative application window, what you'll see is we've never had more come in, but we've never had more leave. So we were down 30 or 40, we're still down 30 or 40. The difference is it was 30 to 60, now it's 130 to 160. There's a lot more movement than there ever has been. And I'm not sure that the movement is a good thing, but my value judgment on it matters very little. If they can move anytime they want for any reason, a lot of them are gonna move.
At the high school, the trend oftentimes is to avoid truancy. I've got principal friends from all over, and the phone calls are always ringing. Josh, just a heads up, we heard this one's coming. We've been filing truancy, or I'll call somebody up saying, just a heads up, or open enrollment. They're avoiding truancy and following the law.
Sure.
Staying ahead of the law.
Trying to.
Other questions on open enrollment applications? That's an action item, so you'd have to approve.
Yep.
Those that are coming in, they wouldn't be able to come in.
Yeah. So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the 2023-2024 open enrollment applications.
And a second.
I'll second it.
Joe, All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. There we go. Now we'll go to our second reading.
Public participation at board meetings, there isn't anything that was changed here, other than that was already previously added. And that portion that was added is, and at the end, please leave your name and contact information if you wish to be contacted by a member of the board or the district administrator regarding your community comment. And be happy to do that, or appoint the right person to give them a call if that's what they want to do.
Okay.
That's the only thing that's there. It was not changed from last time.
Make a motion to accept the document with the highlighted changes.
Okay. Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Char? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Get-o. Listening sessions.
Listening sessions, this document hasn't changed from when you saw it last. If you choose to do this, this would be a second board meeting in a month. The plan would be for the district to do a personnel, a presentation by a member of the district personnel between 6 and 6:30, and there'd be a listening session in regards to that item or other items that folks would have to bring. It's not a night where you would take action on anything, and it's also not a night where you could discuss anything unless we have all that drawn out by WASB. And I promise to have that to you prior to when we meet in July, if you choose to do that. There are rules of the road in regards to open meetings law, is basically what I'm saying. This is a template, a proposal for what the topics would be. These are sort of some heavy hitter topics. If folks wanted to show up and weigh in on those and hear more about those. These are some of the things that we do every single year. We can put anything anywhere you want. I tried to strategically place them based on when they already normally happen. And I'll turn it over to you, whether this is something you want to do. We could also do these presentations right on the night you already meet, so you don't have a second night. I know you're all busy people. This was tabled last time by you, the board, and that we have a new board member arriving in Steve, and that it would be his time. You think you tabled it to get Steve's estimation as to what he felt about it too. So I'll turn it over to you.
The goal is to still have quorum at these meetings, or is the goal to just have board representation?
No, the whole board would be required to be here.
Yep.
And that's kind of why I've asked to get this shorn up, because of the open meeting laws violation, that we can't just have people to come in and, some districts call it a working meeting, but I've seen how it deteriorates. So people come in and they talk, but then the board isn't allowed to really respond because it isn't there is no agenda. So we had to have some kind of an agenda, so people could come in and speak, but really the only thing that they could speak and interact with the board is on these topics. They could potentially speak to anything, but then they wouldn't get board interaction because it's not on the agenda. And I'm not certain that was the feeling behind having these having these open.
The suggestion would be a free-for-all, right?
I think that was kind of the idea that the person that brought this had in mind, but I don't know how we make that look legally and follow open meeting laws.
Well, and you can't. So WASB sent out a video. It was a 1-hour video on this specific topic. And I think they sent it to me just because I was new on the board. But I can certainly share the link with you, but the gist of it was exactly what you said. You have to stay within the realm of whatever this topic is, and you can't venture from it. You can listen.
Right.
But
You
venture
can't
from
say
it.
anything or respond or vote. These are very important topics and should be awfully engaging, but I'm not sure that folks want to talk about these
Well-
topics. They're certainly meaningful and good topics.
How do you have the two-way communication that people need to have to communicate?
Without a quorum,
Well,
you could do that.
Which is why I asked that question.
Yeah, you could, if you have two members of the board, you can engage in anything you want, because there's no quorum, there's not even agenda. You're not even calling a meeting.
no, and I would say, I'm all being good about communicating about athletic facilities proposal. That's all we communicate about, but the thing is there two-way communication from
On that
members
topic,
here?
on
Yeah,
that
there's
topic, there would
people.
be, because it'd be on
Yeah.
an agenda, you can engage
Right.
with them on
Yes.
that
It's an
one.
agenda item.
You're not gonna be voting on it unless you choose to vote on it, but that's not the, sort of the design here.
My fear is that it ends up a lot like the referendum public meetings where you go through the effort of having the meeting and 5 people show up.
Yeah.
I'll meet with anybody on any topic that you want to talk about. I don't know who's coming. I hope a whole bunch of people come. That'd be great. If we have 100 people in to talk about the budget, I think there'd be a lot more clarity if people sat and listened. That'd be awesome. And engaged in a meaningful way. That'd be great.
And so would the goal be to have it in this room or to have these things in like the auditorium?
I think we should take our show on the road. I think some of these meetings should be done in other townships.
Other townships?
Yeah.
Municipalities.
Municipalities, I mean, yeah. Why can't we go to Lincoln Township, Lincoln municipality? Why can't we go to
Oh, come on down to
Alden?
Blackbrook.
We can come down to Blackbrook. Why can't we
Don't
go
do
to
it in the winter,
Deersburg? Don't do it in the winter. I don't know why we couldn't. I mean, not everyone wants to travel here.
Well, it's one thing to try to see if you get participation.
I would hate for you to schedule a time to be here and no one show up, but that's a risk you do run, certainly.
Unless you wanna try something like a 5:30 start.
Well, we're gonna run into church
with a regular
problems,
meeting.
which
Yeah.
you're gonna run into on a Wednesday night, right?
Right.
I guess for me personally, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the board, I'm speaking of me personally, is that obviously my job is that I work every single night. I don't have a night off. Even when I get done here, I go home and I work. So this is another, and I know I've made that commitment being on this board, and I think I've honored that commitment very well in 5 years that I have not missed hardly anything. But I want open communication, and I've come to our meetings that we had to spend $43.5 million and seen 5 people show up. And that's truly disappointing. And I would think that if anything would get people to come to a meeting, it would be spending $43.5 million of people's money. I guess I would like to try it, but I would like to see personally if we could combine a couple of these topics into one meeting so that we're not having a meeting every month.
Yeah, maybe every other month, or,
Yeah.
I don't know, I would like to be respectful of our time, but also the staff's time. If we're gonna have, staff put together a presentation, I'd hate for them to put it together just to show us on a separate night, and not have members of the community. My first choice would be to have these topics covered at like a regular meeting, our normal.
I'd be happy to combine them in the groups of 2 or 3 or however many, and I'd be happy to, like, for instance, the 23-24 budget. I'll go present it all by myself in other municipalities. There's no vote that needs to be happening. It's just a presentation.
Right.
I can go talk to them. I'd be happy to do that.
And I think you've risen above and beyond in doing that with the referendum meetings that we had, that you did, 30-some presentations.
Yes.
I think it's important that the board be there for that board communication and that board reaction and the interaction that we have with the community. We are the elected officials. We are the people that are supposed to represent these people. And for us to listen to their voices, I think is very important. I just don't want to show up, and have a meeting every month and then we get turnout at some of them and turnout at none. And then I think when you start doing this every month too, people become desensitized and complacent as well, that they maybe don't want to come every month. But if it's in every couple months, maybe then they think, I don't have my opportunity for another couple months, maybe I should go. So I guess I would like to see them combined a little bit more. I know it gets late if we're doing that, but it could have the potential to get late. But I think if we're efficient about it, I think we could combine some of these.
Well, you could set a time frame for each topic, because it's a listening session, but, I don't think you're gonna have enough people that the listening session's gonna go on for hours and hours
Right,
and hours.
I think we could be
I don't see
efficient
anything
about it.
here that's like, hot, right, where there's gonna be people standing in line to discuss things. The hope is that doesn't happen. But I agree with you, I think combining it would be a great way to go about it.
What about the possibility of running these on school board nights and running them at 6 o'clock if the regular meeting starts at 6:30? If you have a singular topic on the board, somebody could bring up another topic, you wouldn't be able to respond, but now you're not adding another night to your schedule, you are adding 30 minutes on front loading it a little bit. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that would be my first choice.
Could we push I don't want to cheat anybody out of time, so you're saying, like 6, we don't do our closed session really anymore unless there was an absolute need, we could do that after.
Yep.
Could we push our regular meeting time from 6:30 to the 7, or to like maybe a 6:45, that would give 45 minutes?
Start time is arbitrary. You
Yep.
can start at 8, you can start at 6. I mean, that's our choice.
How would the board feel about that?
So if you
I
did a
mean,
6 to 7 listening session / presentation, and then you start your meeting at 7?
I would go 6:30, and if the first meeting goes long, so be it, but you don't want to sit here for 40 minutes because you posted a 7 o'clock meeting and nobody's talking at 6:20, and everybody wants to go home because it's 70 degrees out, and
The fish are biting.
Right, and I understand all of you have
Right.
school the next day, most of the time, too,
And
so.
these folks wouldn't always be required to be there, only if they were needed. For instance, when we talked athletics, Jeff Fern should be here, that would make sense.
I mean, but it would push our regular
Yes,
meeting time
yes.
back later into the evening.
Yes, it would.
So,
True.
and they have school the next day.
Yes.
But I guess, it's just a concern that I have, and, I want people to show up.
I would rather start at like 6 o'clock, and if we find that we need more time, if people are attending these meetings and there's conversation going on and we need more time,
We could adjust.
then we can adjust, but, I just,
I'll combine them where logical to do so and bring it back to you in the month of June. Would that be okay?
Can you combine this? Can you create a special meeting if there was enough interest that went beyond?
Oh, yeah.
You don't wanna
Yes.
be on a board meeting.
Yep, you can have a
for 5
special
hours too,
meeting.
right? So if you get onto a topic that you say, hey, you know what, let's throw another meeting together in 2 weeks' time, you know.
You can have a
that's
special
fine.
meeting on any topic at any time, as long as you post it properly.
Okay.
And then you have a meeting.
And then I'm all for trying to combine them and see what the
Okay?
Yep.
return is.
Is that what the group wants to do, and then take action on it next month? Combine them
Yep.
and see what it looks like?
Yep.
I would like to, personally, that would be my,
And I'll change the timings and so forth that you see up at the top of the screen, so it makes sense, reflecting what we just talked about. Is that what I'm hearing?
We'll try it.
Are we just gonna table this till next month?
Yeah.
I think I need to go back to the drawing board, the way
yeah.
it sounds.
Joe, does that seem to work for you, to 6 o'clock? I mean, you've been able to make closed sessions.
I'm able to do either, or if we needed to group several of these together, I'm able to do that also.
Awesome.
And you have young kids, I mean, you don't wanna, another night here is another night here, right? Okay, I'd move to table this to the June meeting then.
Okay, a second.
All right.
Second it.
Joe, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we'll table. See what it looks like next month. The next, ooh la la, donations to the district.
Donations to the district. In the area of FFA, we've got 3 donations. $600 from Craig and Kim Scholes, $1,800 from the FFA alumni, $300 from Glenna Dairy. That's all FFA. And I did indicate to Derek that he's back here in July. We're gonna walk through some of the finances of what's happening school farm related with house building and the farm endeavors to demonstrate how that cash flow is working and how it's truly not coming out of the budget, because it isn't. There's been a lot of donations. McDonald and Owen Lumber Company have donated 500 board feet of lumber to the high school tech ed department.
Wow.
Progressive, a $250 donation to Angel Fund. And thank you to the several intermediate school parents who donated extra money to help cover the cost of the school-wide movie field trip for students in need. And lastly, I think it's the last one, oh, second to last one. Thank you to the Amery Band Boosters for the donation of a new band trailer to the district's band program. Here's a little history on that. In order for the band trailer to be insured, it has to be owned by the school district of Amery. So Band Boosters are the one that scouted it out, paid for it, and they're donating it to us so that they can have it insured, and they're gonna be the ones using it. The older version of the trailer was quite sketchy.
No,
It
it
was
wasn't.
from, it was
They
from
made it
the,
to Florida and back here,
well, when was that?
just a
Six
couple of years
times.
ago, right?
Couple years ago.
Well, it's from the 70s, and it's time to move on. The new one, you'll see pictured there, it looks fantastic. So
Pretty
thank you for the
fancy.
band boosters for making that happen.
And actually, that's not even a recent picture.
I know I got the more recent ones
There's
this
a
morning.
more recent picture, so the musical notes that are on the side of the real trailer are actually on Wisconsin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
It's very nice
Very
looking.
cool.
I'll also tell you that, so my brother picked it up and brought it back, and when he came into town, the first place he stopped was Bill Baldwin's house.
Ah, yeah.
Okay,
Mr.
Cliff
Baldwin-
Clavin with your
Mr.
little known
Baldwin
facts.
Mr. Baldwin was like really excited for it.
I bet he was.
The
Did he
future.
want that orange shag carpet again in
Yeah,
there? Yeah.
And thank you to Girl Scout Troop 57676 for donating Girl Scout cookies to the intermediate school staff for Staff Appreciation Week. I must have missed that one. That's unfortunate.
Didn't get any Girl Scout cookies?
Oh, I got a
Amendment
box.
for
I
you?
got a box. Actually, I don't think I missed it. I think my kids ate them all today. I was in a haze while I was working on my computer and there was cookies gone.
Yeah,
Many thanks to the generous community, so thank you so much.
so much.
A move to accept the donations that, for this month with many thanks again to our community. Wow, it's outstanding.
Yeah, I'll second that.
And Steve second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There we go, and thank you. Always nice. Yes.
Personnel, we have new employment contracts and extracurricular contracts for Leah Lyman in eighth grade science, John McBride, Director of Finance, Reggie Schleisner, Grounds Assistant, Kelsey Cisco as school psychologist, reassignment of Brianna Iverson from special ed para to clubhouse, John McBride from Director of School Nutrition to Director of Finance, resignations, Travis Bauermeister in special ed as a para, Matthew Brisk, eighth grade science, Stephanie Crawford, early childhood special ed teacher, Ariana Holm from Clubhouse as an assistant teacher, Ashley Lee, library media, Brittany Schwa, Clubhouse assistant director, Allie Service, special ed teacher, Christina Stack, food server, Catherine Steele, special ed teacher, and then two retirements that came in after the deadline, or after the retirement party stuff went out. Janice Berry as clubhouse lead cook, and Pam Robars as athletic secretary and substitute scheduler. I'm not sure if any of these folks wanted to talk about Janice or Pam, but I've got some information from them that I would cover, but I'll turn it over to you first if you've got something.
Well, I tried to get Pam to sign 5-year contract extensions here going on the last 4 or 5 years, and she came in last week and said, "Josh, I need to talk."
Uh-oh.
And you said,
Should've said I'm busy.
I have somewhere to
And
go.
I said, "You want to sign that 5-year contract extension, don't you?" We even forged her name a couple times and pinned it on her wall, but, yeah, gonna miss Pam.
Wow, that's a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience and a lot of stuff that happens with Pam, and I don't know how our subs are gonna get called.
We're gonna figure it out,
Sunday night.
'cause I don't think Pam's doing it anymore.
Wow, that was like shocking to see that. I'm sad. And
Super excited for Pam, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept teasing her because her mother-in-law worked up at Polk County well into her 80s. I said, "Pam, you have this ability. You
Yeah.
need to do this."
You got 40 more years left, Pam.
Just a thought about Janice is she's just taken a lot of pride in her lead cook with the clubhouse kiddos, and she really has been enjoying her time, and she works really hard, and we've celebrated her in our school superhero lunchtime, and yeah, she kind of took us by surprise and retired on us, but we really appreciate her and her dedication to the district over the years.
Yeah, another rock star, and her husband
Mhm.
retired a couple of years ago, and so now my neighbors are all gonna be retired, and I'm still working. So thanks, Janice.
Yeah.
Just get her enough chocolate pudding and she'll be done.
I'm dropping it off. We hope.
So here's what Janice wrote up for me. I have grown up in Amery. I attended Lean Elementary in 1967 when it opened, and it was a top-notch new school. I graduated from Amery High School, being in the first class to graduate in 1977 in the brand-new high school. I started subbing for school in 1990 and was hired in 1992. I worked in food service under 5 different bosses. I also did some subbing for aides and janitorial. My memories are of all the changes. When I started there, this I find fascinating. There was no breakfast program, and we made all the food from scratch, which had to take forever. I also find this amazing. We fed the children until they were full. No portion control. Wow. Many fun memories with coworkers, dressing up for holidays and making the children laugh. My first children that I feed are now 40-year-olds. I plan to enjoy being home with Chuck, my husband of 47 years, and doing some fishing and trips to see our son. So that's a good long work life here in Amery.
Thanks, Janice. Wow.
Wonderful.
And John, as much as I respect that your decision to go to Director of Finance and will be happy to see you sit here, I'm kind of disappointed that you're also not just staying on in the school nutrition head.
I'll still put plugs in there.
It's funny to actually have her say that all of the food was made from scratch as John was getting that going back into the district. And now apparently leaving that position. So thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
All right, here's what Pam has shared. A number of years in education, 34. This includes subbing in 1989. All those years in Amery. Favorite memories? This place holds so many special memories, how the building at AHS comes alive on the first day of school, and seeing all the smiling faces of the staff and students walking the hallways. Homecoming and fall festival Friday night football games were magical. There's such a strong sense of community involvement and support. What she's looking forward to, I'm looking forward to simplifying my life, traveling and hanging out in the boat with my husband, spending more time with my family, and being more available to attend my grandchildren's activities. So congratulations to Pam and Janice.
Yes.
That's
But now
all I
comes
got.
our part. Are we gonna approve it or not?
I don't think so. I don't think
I've
so.
always said, well, I don't know what happens if you don't, but I think
I'm
it
the
still
new guy, I'll
counts.
approve it. I'll make a motion that we approve
I think it
those
still
changes.
counts.
Yeah, and a second.
Second?
Dale?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? What a nice change for people.
Yeah.
And that is it. We do not need to go to closed session.
No.
I know.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Char, second. Joe, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're done. Thank you much.